Okay, I'm gonna talk about the indirect questions. What are they? In English, it is said that is more polite. The English language is more polite than other languages. So, and it's also less confrontational. This means that it is used more elements like in the indirect questions to, especially to talk with strangers. I'll have three scenarios here. Take a look at this. For example, in this first scenario, imagine a woman in a super. Imagine yourself in a super, and it says you're in a supermarket and you're not sure which brand of disinfectant is better. You turn to a lady beside you and ask, which one is better? So it's a bit rude all of the sudden that someone turns and asks you that way. Now consider this other scenario. You're having a party and someone from your neighborhood, this means a neighbor of course, call the police. The police arrives because your music is very loud and they come over to ask you, hey, could you turn down your music? Okay, so again, it's a bit more confrontational to all of the sudden come and ask that way. And the third scenario is your first day of class and you need to find the technological street. Let's pretend that you are studying at the Tech, the Chihuahua. So you ask a stranger, hey, where's the technological street? Again, it's a bit rude to fire a question that way without having something previously said, like at least an excuse me. So formulating an indirect question means that you need to include an introductory phrase, okay? All the questions that we saw a moment ago are the information that you are seeking, but the introductory phrase, it will be those indirect questions that we're going to use right now. These are some of the most common phrases that are used for indirect questions. Would you mind? Is there some chance? Are you able to? Do you know? I was hoping. I was wondering. Do you think? Could it be possible? Could you tell me? Okay, these are among many, many other indirect questions formulas that you can use. Let's reconsider those three scenarios. So imagine the same lady, but instead of just turning around and ask you which one is better, imagine if she says this, excuse me, do you know which one is better? This sounds much better. It sounds less aggressive. The second scenario where the police arrive to your door to ask you to turn down your music, imagine a police officer, obviously, imagine it. If he knocks on your door and he asks you, good evening, sir. I was wondering if you could turn down your music. I mean, I'm pretty sure you will be more grateful that the police has that approach towards you. And on the third scenario, instead of just turning around and ask you where's the technological street, imagine a person just approaching you and they tell you, could you tell me where the technological street is? So those are some examples of indirect questions that you can use to uh, ask for information. So in the exercise that I have for you, imagine that you're working on a project with some colleagues. One colleague needs the following information and some help with tasks, all of these tasks. So I want you to pretend that you're going to ask a partner for assistance. So you can use the information below this one and you have to put it together or restructure some of these questions. For example, I have two examples of this regarding this. Ask somebody for Westworld's address. So I use, would you mind telling me the Westworld's address, please? So as you can see, I had to restructure the question to make it indirect question, okay? Would you mind? And then I added telling me the Westworld's address, okay? Because these are not direct questions, these are instructions, okay? So you have to restructure them, okay? The other one that I'm going to present just an example is this one. Ask somebody if they are busy. Maybe you can go ahead and ask your coworker, hey, are you busy? But I think it will be less aggressive if you come and use one of those indirect question formulas. For example, I was wondering if you're not busy, for example, right? I was wondering if you're not busy. And if they obviously, if they answer you, oh, no, I just finished something, or what do you want? What do you need? And so you can go ahead and ask for further questions. Okay. So that's the topic for indirect questions. Now it's your turn to use them, restructure these questions, and record yourself and send me those indirect questions through WhatsApp.